your host. We're going to bring you today all of the action, where the sharp money is going, where the line movement's going, a few predictions for all of the games that you can bet on in the United States and North America today. From baseball to hockey to the NBA, we'll give you a big prediction on the NBA game at the very last with Dallas Mavericks and the LA Clippers. If you get a chance to listen to our podcast, it's the fastest growing podcast in the world right now, downloaded in 50 countries, all 50 states. Go on Apple or Spotify. It's now Follow the Action. We changed our name. It was Follow the Money. Go on our YouTube. If you type in Follow the Money with sports betting after it, takes you to our new YouTube channel, which is Follow the Action, because we just changed the name. The name has changed. The winners have not. So it's very easy when you have the best sports gambler in the entire world on your show. You tend to have a really good show. And the fastest growing podcast in the world, that is exactly what we have. Fighting out of Philadelphia, he is Steve Maltepes, better known as the Philly Godfather. Godfather, how you doing today?
Feel a lot better after cashing that Tampa Bay Rays ticket last night. Everyone thought we were nuts betting that game. The Yankees had won 72% of their games going into that matchup, and you were getting plus money on the Yankees, so the bookmakers were begging for Yankees money last night. That's what they got. About 75% of all the recreational money was placed on New York. And you can't blame the average Joe. You see Tanaka on the mound, who's got some great numbers about versus Tampa Bay. And he actually didn't give up any runs last time he faced him, but Tampa Bay blew him out. It was an easy winner. So we're cashing tickets, Joe.
Easy call, never in doubt. Another person that is never in doubt. He's been called the future of sports betting. He is one half of the college kids. He is Matt. Matt, how are you today?
Doing good. I mean, we got a big baseball card here. We have the NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs. It's a good day.
It is a great day. I'm so happy that we have the NBA playoffs, NHL. Looks like we're going to have some college football. We don't know what kind yet. We're definitely going to have NFL, or at least it looks that way. And we're getting through the baseball season. So we'll start right off with the first baseball game that's listed on your betting sheets. That is game 951, 952. That is Tampa Bay with Glasnow going to the mound. He is 0-2 in his last three starts against New York with a 5.68 ERA. He's a right-hander. Tampa Bay is plus 160. Going against the New York Yankees and Garrett Cole. Cole is going for his 20th straight decision, four shy of a record held from 1936 to 1937 by Carl Hubbard. Yankees are minus 185. The over-under stands at 8. The wind is blowing in at 3 miles an hour. Temperature in Yankee Stadium at game time is going to be 79 degrees. Philly Godfather, where's the money going?
Yeah, this line opened up with the Yankees being a heavy favorite, minus 180, and you can't blame the bookmakers for putting a price like that. Like you said, Glasnow's 0-2 against this team, but the line really hasn't moved at all. I mean, you're looking at the Westgate's down to 175 to Westgate. Pinnacle, one of the sharper offshore sports books, still at 180. As of right now, 61% of all the money line tickets placed offshore and in the States have been on the Yankees and Cole. Everyone's expecting him to get his 21st victory in a row. 83% of the run line bets are also on the Yankees. But there is some sharp money on Tampa Bay. I can't see it, but there's a couple groups on Tampa Bay. I mean, call it contrarian, call it whatever you want, because the numbers don't add up to bet Tampa Bay tonight, but they're betting it.
It's got to be the three hitters that are missing, right? You got LeMahieu, you got Judge, and Stanton all out. The Yankees, typical Yankees, incredible lineup, really deep, but injured again. So yeah. I guess they're betting on the fact that you're losing big sluggers, even though you got this stud going to the mound in Garrett Cole.
Yeah, but you still got to hit Garrett Cole, and it seems like the backups can hit the ball almost as far as the starters. That one guy they got on there, he looked like Babe Ruth the other night. I forget his name. He's got the same type of swing. He hit one about 500 feet a mile so far. So I don't know. I'm not touching the game, though.
Garrett Cole, by the way, in his 20 straight decisions, has a 1.94 ERA. Going to the next game is number 955, 956 on your betting sheet. Cleveland with Savali, the right-hander, going to the mound. Cleveland is 14-9 this season, playing against Pittsburgh, who is a horrible 4-15 with Broughton going to the mound, left-hander. Savali for Cleveland they're the favorites at minus 173. Pittsburgh plus 163. The wind is blowing out directly to the right foul pole at 7 miles per hour. Temperature is going to be about 80 degrees. 8.5 is the over-under. These two teams have the lowest batting averages in the major leagues, .203 for Cleveland and .211 for Pittsburgh. Billy Godfather, what do you have for money?
Yeah, this line opened up with Cleveland being a minus 160 favorite. At some of the sharper offshore books, it's gone to as high as minus 180. Some of the square books in the States, I've seen it as high as minus 200. There's no sharp action on either one of these teams as of right now. If you look at the bet splits, about 69% of all the money played so far has been on Cleveland, and right around 68% on the run line. So the recreational sports bettor loves Cleveland in this spot. If you're a contrarian type of sports bettor, you might be looking to take Pittsburgh here. I don't know. I'm not touching the game, but there's no sharp money on either side. There's no sharp money on the total either. It's painted 9 flat across your screen, so there's nothing really there.
Next game is number 957, 958. It is the New York Mets, who are starting off the season 11-14, playing the Miami Marlins, who had some COVID issues. They are 9-8. DeGrom is taking the mound for the Mets. 2.45 ERA. Right-hander going against Lopez for the Marlins. 2.25 ERA. Very comparable. The Mets are minus 220. Marlins are plus 190. They're playing in Miami, so it's a roof in the stadium, so the weather won't matter. The total is a low 7.5. The Marlins have lost 4 straight. Philly Godfather, where do you have the money?
Yeah, this line opened up with the Mets being a big minus 240 favorite. And the recreational sports bettors are all over New York here. About 65% of all the money line tickets placed are on the Mets, and over 80% are on the run line. But surprisingly, that line has dropped down to minus 220. I've seen it as low as minus 215 at some of the offshore sports books. And there's some real sharp money on Miami tonight. I mean, it's a great price. You got Lopez pitching. DeGrom's awesome, but Miami's definitely got a real chance to win this game. I like him a little bit. I nibbled on him a little bit. At that price, it's a great price, man.
The one reason you nibbled on him was because DeGrom was supposed to pitch Friday. He did pitch, and they just said neck soreness. Is that one of the reasons that some sharp money has gone on the Marlins, or is it just the price?
Yeah, anytime you got a nagging injury, I mean, the pitcher's not going to perform as well. Now, he might go out today and throw a no-hitter since we're talking about it, but anytime something like that's going on, plus Lopez can pitch a little bit, and this Miami team's hungry. Like you said, they lost 4 in a row, but yeah, I think they're still tied for first place. So this Miami team can play. And anytime you get all the public on one side, anytime it's this heavily tilted, it seems like they lose. So, you can grab plus 200 if you can grab plus 215. It's a great price on the Marlins.
Yeah, and it's interesting because of the COVID. Marlins have only played 17 games. They're 9-8, and as compared to the Mets, who played 25 games. So you're going by percentage right now. That's how they're going to rule the baseball season at the end of the year if they don't have the equal number of games. Going to the next game, 959, 960, the Washington Nats, who won a game last night against the Braves. This is the rubber match coming up. The Nats are 9-12. Braves are 14-11. Fetty is on the mound, right-hander for the Nats. Right-hander for the Braves is on the mound. The Nats are plus 110. The Braves are minus 130. Wind is blowing in from left field to 5 miles per hour. The over-under stands at 10.5. Temperature is going to be 87 degrees at game time. Soto, by the way, since he's come back from his COVID, where he had the COVID and was out for just over a week, is batting .441, 15 of 34 right now. The young man is absolutely on fire. Philly Godfather, where do you have the money?
Yeah, recreational sports bettors are all over Atlanta tonight. That line opened up minus 115. I see it as high as minus 130 at some of the sharper offshore books. Some of the square books have moved up to as high as minus 138, minus 140. The run line tickets as well all over Atlanta. There's been no sharp money as of right now. Bet either side. The total opened up at 10. I see it as high as 10.5 juice towards the over. So they're expecting some runs in this one, John.
Yeah, and I want to. Sorry, go ahead, Matt.
If I could talk about the game real quick, we have Wright on the mound for Atlanta, and he's been pretty bad all year. In 15 innings, he's given up 17 hits and 12 runs, whereas Fed, on the other side, he's versed teams like the Mets, Orioles last, and he pitched 5 innings against the Orioles, and he only gave up 2 hits and 0 runs. And Orioles, as we all know, they've been hitting great this year. Same thing with the Mets. So I kind of lean Washington here.
Does it help you leaning that way, Matt, to know that the left fielder, Nick Markakis, is out because of COVID? He was exposed. It looked like the COVID. Not sure if he has it yet or not, but he's out of the lineup. Does that influence your decision any?
It does, but right here I'm focused on Wright getting hit. I think he's going to get hit a little bit this year. We didn't take it yet. We're still on the team, still waiting for more information to come in. But as of right now, we're leaning Washington.
Next game is number 963, 964. In your sports book, it is the Cincinnati Reds' first game of a doubleheader. So remember, it's only going 7 innings. Reds are 9-11 on the year. The Royals, who they're playing against, are 9-14. Castillo is hitting the mound for the Reds. He had 1 earned runs in his last 7 innings pitched. He is minus 145. A right-hander going against Keller for the Royals, who is at plus 125. The Royals are. The wind is blowing toward third base at 7 miles per hour, 79 degrees, and the over-under is 6.5. But remember, that is for just 7 innings. This is the first game for the Reds since they were suspended their season temporarily because of a COVID case. The first game they played since Friday. Philly Godfather, where do you have the money?
Yeah, Kansas City is one of these teams that the recreational sports bettor really doesn't like to bet. As of right now, a little over 55% of all the action placed has been on the Reds. Line opened up a little high, in my opinion, at minus 175, and it's dropped down to as low as minus 150 at some of the sharper offshore books. Anywhere from 160 to 150, depending on where you shop. The run line tickets are also on the Reds. There's some real sharp money on Kansas City here, and I think that's the right side.
How different is it handicapping a 70-inning game? Because basically you've taken out the middle reliever, right? So you're hoping that your starter is going to go 5, maybe 6, and then you're just going straight to your closer. Does that make much difference to you in games? I guess you're just looking at middle relievers and not taking that out of the equation, right?
Yeah, you try to handicap accordingly, like you said. But, I mean, if the team comes out and scores a quick 4 runs, you throw all that handicapping out the window. So, yeah, I mean, that's the way you're going to look at it. That's basically all you can look at.
Next game is game 965, 966 in your sports book. The Milwaukee Brewers, who were 3 outs away from a no-hitter last night with Maeda, and then they almost lost the game when they fell apart in the 9th inning. Kid pitched an unbelievable game, struck out 8 batters in a row at one point. Anderson is taking the mound for the Twins had the good no-hitter going. I may have said that wrong. Anderson is on the mound for the Brewers. The Brewers are 10-11 right now. Hill is on the mound, left-handed for the Twins. He comes off a 10-day disabled list. He pitched very well in his first game, but this is the only second game he's pitched this year. The wind is blowing directly out to left field at 11 miles per hour. 86 degrees is going to be the temperature at game time. The over-under stands at 9.5. Philly Godfather, where do you have the money here?
Yeah, the recreational sports bettors love this Minnesota team. They keep outperforming the market. As of right now, 75% of all tickets placed have been on the Twins. But quite surprisingly, the line opened up at minus 170, and it's dropped about 20 cents at some of the sharper offshore books. Sharp money's betting on Anderson here, and I'm not sure about that with Milwaukee, but that's where the sharp money's at. 85% of all the run line tickets are on Minnesota as well, so the public might get burnt tonight with Hill on the mound.
Yeah, with Hill on the mound, it could be the fact that he's only pitched 1 game this year and had a 10-day disabled, even though he wanted to come back earlier from reports. Next game is 967, 968 in your sports book. It is the Detroit Tigers. You have 2 debuts of Major League pitchers in this game. The Tigers are 9-12. Chicago White Sox are 13-11. Mize, who had a no-hitter last year in Double-A ball, right-hander, takes the mound for the Tigers. Dunning for the Chicago White Sox. Tigers are plus 140. The Chicago White Sox are minus 160. The wind is blowing in from left field at 6 miles per hour. 78 degrees is going to be your game time temperature. Only 46% humidity. 9 is your over-under. Philly Godfather.
This line opened up right around minus 155 with the White Sox being favorites. It hasn't moved at all. It's painted across your sports betting screen, 155, 156, depending on where you shop. I see a 157 out there. As of right now, right around 60% of all tickets placed by your average Joe has been on the White Sox. And there's some sharp money on the under here. Like you said, there's some wind blowing in. The line opened up 9, juiced towards the over at minus 120. And now it's 9 under minus 115 at some of the sharper sports books. I'm still seeing some 9.5s at some of the slower moving books, but there's definitely some sharp money on the under here.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Matt.
We also lean in Detroit here. This kid Mize, he's supposed to be the real deal. From everything I'm hearing, he's supposed to be the next up-and-comer pitcher for Detroit. And Dunning, he's not bad, but he's not on the level of Mize, in my opinion. So we do lean Detroit here. We think Detroit comes out and he gets him to win.
Yeah, this is one of those games where you might be looking to take Detroit on the run line plus 1.5 because they're expecting some good pitching tonight, so it should be a tight game.
And for those of you that are out there following us on social media or wherever you are, please leave us some comments. Matt is following that as best he can while also participating in the show. So let us some comments, questions, whatever you have. We'd love to hear from you and make the show as interactive as possible. Next game is game 971, 972 in your sportsbook. Starts off at 8:40 p.m. local time. It's the Astros-Rockies. They just played 2 games in Houston, which, by the way, were both 2-1 scores. Only 3 runs scored in the first 2 games each. The over-under here is very interesting, which I'll get to in just a minute. The Astros have Valdez, lefty, going on the mound. Astros are minus 152. The Rockies have Castellini going on the mound at plus 132. Here's the interesting part. The wind is blowing out in Colorado. They've shifted from Houston to Colorado. Wind blowing out in the right field at 8 miles per hour. 98 degrees is going to be the game time temperature. Only 16% humidity. That is a hitter's environment. The over-under stands at 12.5, despite the fact that the last 2 games in Houston, obviously climate controlled with the roof, they only scored 6 runs total in those 2 games. Billy Godfather, where do you have the money?
Yeah, this line opened up with Houston being a minus 130 favorite. Like you said, it's moved about 20 cents in their favor. The bet splits are basically a 50-50 right now. Both these teams have been playing some pretty good baseball. The total, surprisingly, a lot of this, average sports bettors out there are betting the under. They're seeing a high total, but they're not paying attention to the weather, and they're going under 12.5, so they might get burnt there. I think it's like you said, it's that type of day where hitters are going to have a little bit of a natural boost, natural advantage, and it might be smart to go over that 12.5 runs.
Yeah, you don't get much better of a hitting environment, at least from a meteorology perspective. The next game is number 973, 974 in your sports book. My Texas Rangers behind Lance Lynn, who incredibly this year only has a 1.11 ERA. It's one of the few bright spots for my Texas Rangers. They are 10-12. They're right now they are the Dogs at plus 105, playing the San Diego Padres, 13-12. Their ace on the mound, Paddock, who's not having as good an ERA this year, but it's done fairly well. 4.191 ERA. They're the favorite, minus 125. The wind is blowing out in San Diego, but negligible. It's only 6 miles per hour. Temperature's going to be 82 degrees down there in San Diego, and the over/under stands at 7.5. Billy Godfather.
It's actually moved up to 8, John. It opened up at 7. The total is up to 8. There's a ton of money on the over. There's some sharp money and some recreational money that bet the over 7 where it opened up at. Right now, the bet splits are basically 50-50. But anytime you got Lynn on the mound and you got a bad team like Texas, you're always going to get some value when you're looking to bet that team because according to the line, he's really undervalued. He's one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. So I'm always looking to bet him. I actually did bet the Texas Rangers today. The line opened up at 35. It's down to 30. 32. I see a 27 out there on San Diego. And Paddock, his velocity has dropped a little bit on his fastball, so they're going to start hitting him if his velocity doesn't go back up. I bet Texas. I like Texas. That's the sharp side. That's where the sharp money's at. 3 different betting syndicates bet Texas, so this might be something you want to nibble on, the Rangers.
I agree. I also do like Texas here. I like Lynn on the mound. I mean, he's been phenomenal all year. When you watch him, he's just amazing to watch. And Paddock, he's a nice up-and-coming guy. I like Paddock a lot. He's actually one of my favorite pitchers, but I don't think he gets it done today.
I love betting the Texas Rangers. I actually had tickets for Nolan Ryan's 5,000 strikeout when I was in college, and I couldn't make it to Arlington. Didn't have the gas money to get there. I had tickets reserved, so I just left them.
John, who did he get in a fist fight with? Remember that? And he kicked his ass. He beat the crap out of that youngster.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he did.
Had him in the headlock. He just kept pounding him.
They show it every single home game. Nolan Ryan can be king of Texas. I'm telling you, he can be governor. He can be king. They love the man down there.
One of the greatest pitches I've ever seen in my lifetime.
Oh, his last pitch, I think it was 94 miles an hour. Last pitch he ever threw. That's when he had the tendon tear in his arm. His last pitch he ever threw, 94 miles an hour at age 46 or 47.
You remember when they had him and J.R. Richard? Oh, they were unstoppable.
Oh, my goodness, yeah. J.R. Richard was a huge man, like 6'9", threw the ball almost downhill at the batters. Yeah. Absolutely. Rangers were 1 strike away from winning a World Series a couple times. Didn't do it. Who was the Matt? You're the young guy who has all the information without the concussion issues like me and Philly Godfather. Who was the guy that charged them out against Nolan? Do you know offhand? Ventura. Robin Ventura. Ventura, yeah.
Shout out to It's Me, Timmy B. Just put it that it was Ventura. He said, greatest show in the galaxy. Love that we're doing this early enough for him to stream before he gets off work. Thank you for all the support, man.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, Nolan Ryan said later, he said, Ventura, so he didn't really want to charge the mound.
They didn't realize he was a big dude. And I tell people all the time, when you throw a right hand, if you can throw a baseball 90 miles an hour, your right hand's pretty strong. And people don't realize that because I've seen a lot of pitchers come in the boxing gym and they can punch.
They had a great documentary called Fastball. Nolan Ryan is in it. And when they measured the old pitches, they measured the pitch from the plate and not from the arm. They said if Nolan Ryan was measured today, his fastball would be 109 miles an hour, 108, 109.
Wow.
They said he's by far the fastest of all time. And they said it will probably never be beat because the arm can only go so fast anyway. It's not like, you're going to have a guy throwing 120 miles an hour in 100 years. It's just not going to happen. Yeah. Amazing. They had Bob Gibson on that. They had all kinds of old great pitchers. Boy, Gibson would hit you, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he wouldn't care. You couldn't crowd the plate against Gibson. He was going right after you. He was backing people. That was his plate. You weren't owning that plate. He owned that plate.
Nolan Ryan used to call his backup pitch the old bow tie. He'd say, yeah, going to have to give that boy a bow tie. That's when he'd throw a ball right underneath somebody's chin.
For PGF. From King Gucci 305, he said, "Can you ask PGF if he has any thought on Harvey pitching today?"
Oh yeah, when's the last time he pitched?
Or Casey.
When's the last time Harvey pitched? I don't know.
Tell him we will get to it. That's for one of the last games we have on the sports book.
Yeah, what's that? The 8:05 game? The 8:05 game time game. Yeah.
That's right. The second game of the doubleheader.
Yeah.
Tom, thank you. Don't tell him thank you. I'll tell him thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. As Coach would say, you're welcome.
You're welcome. Next game is 975 and 976 in your sports book. It is the Snakes out of Arizona, the D-backs. They're on a win streak right now playing the A's, the hottest team in baseball up until they went down to Arizona. 16-8 are the A's right now. Kelly's on the mound for the D-backs. He is 3-1 this year, 1.71 ERA, having a great year. Luzardo on the mound, lefty for the A's. The D-backs are plus 142. The A's are minus 164. And I want to reiterate, I got these odds a couple hours ago, so they could have changed somewhat. That's why sometimes when I'll say something, and Philly Godfather will correct me, this was what the odds were a couple hours ago. The wind is blowing out toward the right field foul pole at 6 miles per hour. 81 degrees will be the Bay Area temperature at game time at 6:40 local time. Over-under is 8.5. Philly Godfather.
Yeah, I mean, the public money's basically split 50-50 on the money line, on the run line. But quite surprisingly, a lot of the public's betting the over here. Over 75% of all the action played so far has been on the over. The line opened up at 8.5 on the total. Now it's been juiced towards the under, 8.5 minus 115. So the public might get burnt there as well. Line opened up minus 175 Oakland. I see it anywhere from like 55 to 58 at some of the sharper sports books. At some of the squarer books, the ones that move a little slower, I don't want to call them square, but they're slow moving books. They're right around 160, 162. No sharp money on either side yet, but that doesn't mean they're not gonna hit the game. They might hit the game closer to game time. This is one of those later games. I think it starts at 9:40, 9:30 tonight. So
yep, it's 9:40 Eastern time.
Yeah,
yes.
It's a late ball game.
Yeah. When I look at the game, I look at Luzardo. He hasn't really versed a team that's as good as at hitting this year as Arizona. None of those teams have a close to on base percentage. I mean, I understand Arizona, has a tough time hitting lefties, but we'll see.
I want to give a shout out to my buddy from Scotland. He just texted me and said the screen turns green sometimes, and it's your internet in Scotland. Okay, you got a Loch Ness monster, so don't blame us for that. But thank you for listening. Appreciate it. Billy Godfather, I want to ask you about the Oakland A's. They were lost 10-1 yesterday. They also lost their first game in Arizona. They moved the series to Oakland. When you handicap games, do you do it in a silo, whereas you're just looking at this game irrespective of what's going on, or do you look at the team like the A's who've been so hot this year? They get humiliated. Humiliated. They got trounced yesterday, 10-1. That stuff like that happens in a baseball season. Do you look at a bounce back for these guys as far as emotion, or are you just betting the game in a silo?
Nah, I'm betting in a silo. You ever see that movie 50 First Dates where the girl wakes up every day and doesn't remember nothing about the past? I kind of handicap that way for two different reasons. Because it's been so successful for me, and because of all the shots I took to the head, whether it was boxing and all the fun times we had. So between the both of them, it's kind of like 50 First Dates. I try to eliminate any type of trends, any type of hot streaks, and I handicap the game. I handicap the pitchers. I handicap how the pitchers have performed against this lineup. I handicap the market. I try and find out as much information on the game as possible because there's a lot of sharp guys out there, and there's some guys sharper than me. So they're betting millions upon millions of dollars. Now I've done very well in baseball this year. I think we're like on an 86% baseball run over our last 15 games, and I think we're right around 65% on the season. But I respect a lot of guys out there who are putting big money. They put their money where their mouth is. So I handicap the market. I handicap the game. I look, to import or export if any players are coming back, in the lineup, or if they're, like you said, like they're not playing or they're banged up. And we look at the pitchers, nagging injuries with pitchers, blisters on fingers, sore backs, stuff like that. I mean, they're not going to perform at an optimal level. So, like you said, basically in the silo, each game is its own entity to me. That's how I handicap these baseball games.
Next game is number 977 and 978 in your sports book. The LA Dodgers, best record in baseball at 18-7. Have Urias going to the mound, a lefty, going against Seattle, who is exactly opposite, 7-18. Walker going to the mound, a righty. This is kind of interesting. The Los Angeles Dodgers are going for their 8th straight win. The Seattle Mariners are going for their 8th straight loss. Dodgers are minus 230, as you might expect. Walker for Seattle on the mound is plus 195. Wind is blowing out, but it's negligible at 5 miles an hour into right field. 81 degrees is going to be the game time temperature up in Seattle, and the over-under is 9. Philly Godfather.
Public's all over the Dodgers here. I mean, how can you blame them? 80% of all the recreational sports bettors have bet them on the money line. 85% of the money is on the run line, so they're laying the 1.5. Lined up opened up at 240, but it's actually dropped down to 228 at one of the sharper sports books, Bet Chris and Pinnacle, right around 230. So it's actually dropped 10 cents. The total went from 9.5 in this matchup down to 9. I see it 9 under minus 02, 05, depending on where you're shopping at. 9 over minus 120. So it's dropped a little bit. There's been no sharp money on either side. I don't see no sharp money on the total. Urias can pitch, lefty. I'm not touching this game, Joe.
The next game is number 979, 980 in your sports book. The Los Angeles Angels sending lefty Sandoval to the mound. 9-16 is the Los Angeles Angels' record this year. The San Francisco Giants, very similar record, 9-18, sending Cueto to the mound, a righty. The Angels are the dog at minus 147. Cueto at the Giants, the other way around. The Angels are the favorite at minus 147. Cueto with the Giants, the dog at plus 127. The wind is blowing out at 10 miles an hour directly into left field. The temperature is going to be 74 degrees, going to have a low humidity as well at 47%. The over-under stands at 9. Philly Godfather.
Yeah, the total opened up at 8.5, juiced towards the over at minus 125. It's moved up to 9. I see it juiced at right around minus 115 towards the over at 9. I see it 9 flat at other places. The line opened up with the Angels being right around minus 135 favorite. It's up to 140, 142. I mean, this number's all over the place. The bet splits are 50-50 in this matchup, but they are taking the Giants on the run line here. So a lot of the public's taking the plus 1.5. Cueto, he's that type of pitcher where he'll go out and pitch a gem, and then the next time out he gives up 4 or 5 runs, and he'll go out and pitch a gem. It's just you don't know what you're going to get with him. I kind of like him, though. His whip's kind of down from before. People are remembering Cueto the last 2 years when he was injured, didn't really play much. If San Fran's got a shot, it's tonight, man. That's a small line for the Angels. Gun to my head, I would take the Giants here.
In the second game of a doubleheader, Chicago versus St. Louis. I don't have a lot of stats. I do have the weather will be 7 miles an hour blowing in from right field. Azaloe, is that? I'm going to lose his name here.
Azaloe.
There you go. Is on the mound. Aviero is on the mound for the Cards. Philly Godfather.
Yeah, this game opened up with the Cubs being minus 135 favorite. It's starting to drop a little bit. Dropped about 10 cents. It's probably going to keep dropping. This is one of those games where it's a coin flip. Second game of is it the second game of the doubleheader? No,
Second game of the doubleheader. Yeah,
it's the first. I'm sorry, the first game. It's the first game of the doubleheader. So it starts at 5:50 p.m. So I got no opinion on this game, John. I got no opinion on this match.
Next one is another second game of the doubleheader, and it wasn't on the sportsbook earlier, so I don't have a lot of stats. It was added right before showtime. Cincinnati Reds with Bauer on the mound against Kansas City Royals. Wind is blowing in toward third base at 7 miles an hour. Harris is on the mound for the Royals. Philly Godfather.
For the Royals, my mind went blank. Okay, Harvey's on the mound. Is this we're doing?
It's Castillo versus Keller.
Oh, this is Castillo versus Keller.
983, 984.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, line opened up with the Reds being a big favorite, minus 175. It's been dropping. I see it as low as minus 150 at some of the sharper offshore books. There's some real sharp money on Kansas City here. They're fading the Reds. They're fading Castillo. I think his velocity's down as well. Right around 60% of all the money line tickets so far have been placed on the Reds, and closer to 70% on the run line. Total opened up at 7. It's dropped down to 6.5. No sharp money on the total there. That's basically it.
Matt, what did I miss on here? I missed Harvey. Did I repeat the first game twice? Because these games weren't added until we started right before the show, and I think I had the names wrong. You had the person wanting to know about Harvey. Was that the first game?
That's the second game. I think it starts at 8:05.
It's going to start at 8:05 p.m.
That's
so
the second game.
Game.
That's Bauer and Harvey.
Bauer and Harvey.
Yeah.
Okay, so there you go. That's the answer to one of the questions out there. Hopefully that helped. Thanks for watching. That is baseball. Next, we'll move to the National Hockey League, which is in a bubble in Edmonton and Toronto. We will now move to number 71 and 72. In your sports book, the Carolina Hurricanes playing the Boston Bruins. Carolina Hurricanes are plus 125 for the game. Boston Bruins minus 145. The over-under stands at 5. Carolina is plus 800 to win the series. Boston Bruins are minus 1375. Interesting fact, the Bruins in the last game were down 3-0 in the third period, scored 4 goals in 6:51 total in the third period Monday to win 4-3. Philly Godfather.
Public's all over Boston here. Right around 65% of all the tickets play so far are on the Bruins. But that line's moving the other way. Line opened up right around $1.50, $1.55. I see it as low as minus 135 at Pinnacle, 140 at some of the other sharper shops. Total opened up at 5.5. It's down to 5. This is going to be a tough game, man. This game can go either way. I think the dog's live here. I think Carolina. I think they're live.
And that would also be the closeout game for the Boston Bruins. They're 3-1 right now in the series. Yeah. Game 73 and game 74, 3-1 Arizona Coyotes are plus 180. The over-under stands at 5.5. The Colorado Avalanche are minus 220 to win the game. They are minus 4,000 to win the series. Arizona Coyotes are plus 2,000 to win the series. Philly Godfather.
Everybody's on Colorado here. Sharp money, recreational money. 85% of all the tickets so far placed have been on Colorado. Line opened up right around 205, I think it was. It's up to 230. I see it as high as 235. The total pucks basically painted 5.5 across the screen. Hasn't seen much movement in the market there. There's some real sharp money on Colorado, and the public is on them as well.
Yeah, I'm hearing Colorado is a sharp move today. I know one of our guys, Paulie Pucks, he's on Colorado. He likes him today, so there's some sharp money on Colorado today.
Thank you. Paulie Pucks, one of more of the guys that you can find at the Philly Godfather. By the way, a 2% bet yesterday, the Tigers was cashed as well. Got a 2% bet going right now. You'll find all of that at the Philly Godfather. In the sports book, 75 and 76 game is the Montreal Canadiens. Philadelphia Flyers, who they're playing, are 3-1 right now in the series. There have been 9 straight unders in the Philadelphia Flyer games. Terrific defense by the gentleman there from Philadelphia. The Canadians are plus 120 to win the game. The Flyers are minus 140 to win the game and close out the series. The over-under stands at 5. Montreal is plus 1,200 to win the series. The Philadelphia Flyers are minus 1,900. Philly Godfather.
Yeah, the original price in the market was the Flyers minus 140. It's dipped about 10 cents. There's some sharp money on the Canadiens here. Recreational money all over the Flyers here. 75% of all the tickets placed so far have been on my beloved Philadelphia Flyers, who I'm holding a future on at 11-1. I bet them to win this series. I think it was minus 240 off the top of my head. As of right now, I think they're up to 20-1 to win the series. But this is going to be a tight game, man. Montreal's not going to go out without a fight. There's some real sharp, respected money on Montreal here.
Next game is your Vancouver Canucks, game number 77-78 in your sports book. They are tied 2-2 with the St. Louis Blues. That's at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time tonight. Vancouver is plus 120 to win the game. They are plus 130 to win the series. St. Louis Blues are minus 140 to win the game, minus 150 to win the series, and the over-under stands at 5.5 pucks. Philly Godfather.
Yeah, this line originally opened up with St. Louis being close to a minus 160 favorite. It's dropped about 20 cents since the opening, and the public actually is on St. Louis, so that line's going the other way, which tells me there's some sharp money on Vancouver. I haven't heard of any sharp money on that team, but if you're just looking at the handicap to market, there's some reverse line movement there, and anytime a game drops almost 20 cents, somebody's sharp's betting it. The line just don't move for no reason, and the public, I don't think there's enough public money to move this line when you're looking at these handles when you're betting hockey. So, in my opinion, there's some sharp money on Vancouver here. Public's all over St. Louis. I mean, anything can happen.
That wraps up the National Hockey League. Next, we'll move to the NBA. We got 3 games on tap that you were able to bet on today, starting at 4 p.m., which is just, let me check my time here, 24 minutes away. We have the Utah Jazz playing the Denver Nuggets. The first game, Donovan Mitchell drops 57 points. Game goes to overtime, and the Nuggets end up covering 135-125, but it took them overtime to do it. So the Nuggets are 1-0 right now. The point total is, the spread is +4 right now. So what I saw earlier for the Jazz. The Jazz are plus 145 on the money line. The Nuggets are minus 165 on the money line. And the point total is 217.5, at least what I saw earlier. Philly Godfather.
Yeah, the game opened up 4, Denver being favored by 4 points. We've seen a half a point dip in the market. It's actually down to 3.5, minus 0.5 at Pinnacle, at some of the sharper sports books. Some of the slower moving books, still 4, even money. Right around 55% of all the public money right now is on the Nuggets, on the money line, and actually 65% is on the point spread. There's some real sharp money on the Utah Jazz tonight. There's some sharp money on the over in the first half and over full game, even though the line opened up at 218.5 and has dropped down to as low as minus 216.5. I think that's a little bit of market manipulation being done. I didn't touch the game, but I know there's a couple sharp groups on Utah and a couple sharp groups on the over first half and full game.
Yeah, there's some sharp groups on the Jazz tonight, and we agree with the over on this game as well. We agree with both.
You like the Jazz as well here, Matt?
Yeah, Jazz and over, I agree.
Did you take the points, or was it money line? If you were betting with the points. Does it scare you that Mitchell drops 57 and probably can't replicate that? Does that scare you or factor in at all? You think it's going to be taken up by somebody else?
Definitely factors in, but there's no one to guard him on that team. His point total, honestly, I haven't checked it out yet, but they're missing Barton, they're missing Harris. Barton would be covering him, and they don't have anyone. Jamal Murray, he was covering him. He had some other guys. Jamal Murray's just going to match him with the points on the offensive side. You know what I mean? So I still think Donovan Mitchell has a big game. Of course, I don't think he scores 57, but I still think he has a big game today.
Bet him on the money line, baby. Jazz on the money line.
Jazz on the money line. You heard it here. Next game, we might should have the Philadelphia Flyers coaching the Philadelphia 76ers tonight.
They might do better.
They can do both, but Joel Embiid had 11 points in the first 7 minutes. He had 15 the rest of the game. So a lot of speculation about whose fault that was. Not sure. Game's at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time tonight. You can see for yourself what happens. It's game number 705 and 706 in your sports book. 76ers right now are plus 4.5. 76ers on the money line are plus 165. Boston Celtics, minus 190 on the money line, and the over-under stands at 215. Philly Godfather.
I'm sorry, I was a little distracted. Piggy texted me 7 times and asked me if we're going to dinner tonight. I mean, he must be hungry, man. There's this little restaurant we go to down here where you can sit outside and eat. and they got some of the best veal parm and chicken parm and some great Italian food, and he loves coming up here. So I just told him, I said, we're doing this show as soon as the show's coming up. Okay, we're talking Sixers and Celtics, right? Public's all over the Celtics here. Over 60% of all the tickets placed so far on the money line have been on Boston. About 65% of the tickets on the spread has been on the Celtics as well. This line opened up 5.5, and it's going down to as low as 4.5. Still paying at 5 in a couple places. There's some real sharp money on the Sixers here on the money line and on the point spread. The totals dropped from 215 to 214.5, but there's also some sharp money on the Sixers over in the first half as well.
And Piggy, for those that don't know, the Philly Piggy is one of the best soccer handicappers in the world. Got a game going right now with Bayern Munich.
He's been killing it.
Going on.
He's been killing. I think he's won like 12 of his last 13. So he goes on these crazy runs. That's why you got to bet every game, and you can't miss it. I've seen him lose 6 in a row and come back and win 14 straight. So there's a method to his madness, and he's long term. He's up big. But if you jump in at the wrong time, you got to be patient. You got to practice money management, because long term, he's going to get you to the window and make you a lot of money.
He is going to get you to the window. He may not have a shirt on when he does it. He does. He does some videos sometimes. It looks like he's just naked. And he did a video one time where he's in his bed and it's completely dark. You can't see anything. And he did a video.
He got like 7,000 views, complete darkness. I was like, this guy, he's made for the internet. Piggy's a super mega star. I told him, I said, go get a legit massage, and while the girl's massaging you, give out some soccer games. You know what I mean? Make it a little more entertaining.
Stuff just happens to Piggy. When you guys were down in South Beach, you're doing that video, and there's this bubble machine that started behind Piggy that you guys said you didn't know anything about. All of a sudden, Piggy's talking, and bubbles just start coming through the scene.
We were on 7th and Ocean. It was for the Super Bowl. I was on Radio Row. I just got done doing Fox Business. I think I did the Varney show. And we're getting something to eat. And I said, Piggy, do a video, because we had this real sharp college basketball game that he got information on. I didn't handicap it, but we unloaded on that game. So I said, give it out. Give it to everyone. Let everyone make some money. So he's giving out the free college basketball game. And this guy with this crazy hat on, this bubble machine, it was like perfect time. He shows up right behind him, and as he's giving out the game, all these bubbles are floating everywhere. It was a classic video, man. It was a classic video.
The internet is created for Piggy. There's no doubt about it. It's the greatest thing on there. I live for his videos. I sometimes have to decipher them because I don't understand some of the text.
He's talking pig Latin. He's talking pig Latin. He's got his own language sometimes.
It's the best. So we're on to the last game, which we're calling the main event. I don't know if you want to deem it that way or not, but it certainly is the last game of the night as far as basketball. It's a 9 p.m. game. Dallas Mavericks, who scored 13 points in the third quarter in the last game when KP Porzingis got thrown out of the game. Luka starts off with 42 points, age 24 years old, the best debut of any rookie in the playoffs. The Mavs are +6 tonight. They are +220 on the money line. LA Clippers, -260, and the over-under stands what I saw earlier at 230 points. Philly Godfather.
Yeah, of all the games on your screen, this is the only game that's being bet 50-50. The public, it's right around a 50-50 split here on the spread, 50-50 on the money line. Game opened up with the Clippers being 6-point favorites. It's down to 5.5. There's definitely some sharp money on Dallas here. I think the dogs are going to be barking tonight in the NBA. I mean, you're watching the Nets. They're up 1 right now in the fourth quarter, and they were getting double digits. The Jazz is in play. The Sixers are in play. And I think the Mavericks are the side here as well. The total went from 231, maybe a half a point movement, not much in the market. I'm looking at Pinnacle 231.5, 231 everywhere else. So no movement, on the total. But I think the right side here is the Dallas Mavericks. Do you got anything on that, Matt?
Yeah, this line opened the total 231, then it went down to 229, and then that's when we jumped in. We went on the over and got the best of that number. Now it's currently sitting at 231.5, 231. Looking at this game, we also like Dallas. We're looking at this game, and we see the game one, they played at a crazy high pace. It was a pace number of 104.5, and if you took that number and plugged it into average for the year, of all the teams, it ranked number 2. So it'd be the second highest pace in the NBA. In the one game that they played in the bubble in the regular season, they scored in total 237 points. In their playoff game, they scored 228, and Porzingis actually got ejected. Had he not gotten ejected, they would have went over that total by, I think, a good amount. So I'm expecting it over here. In the third quarter last game, they only scored 13 points, which to me is an anomaly considering, Porzingis got ejected and it was just a road damper on that team. And,
damper in my pockets,
look at the box score. Huh?
That was a damper in my pockets. I went over 228, and they freaking scored $1.35 in the first half, and then I'm watching the third quarter, and I'm telling myself, I'm not going to cash this freaking ticket. Oh, God. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry I interrupted you, man.
It was unreal that they got the 228.
I was lucky.
Really.
And then Beverly misses 2 foul shots. It looked like he was missing on purpose. And thank God Kawhi got on the foul line and sunk the last 2. And I'm praying for that 3-pointer to go in. I had that tied into some parlays. Instead of having a monster night, I ended up breaking even that night.
And
I'm sorry, Matt. Go ahead, man. I apologize.
Nah, I just got the over, and we have Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas and over,
we
baby.
have the over, but we lean Dallas.
Matt, do you think the Mavs win that game if Porzingis doesn't get thrown out?
I think they have a shot. They lost by 8. I think they definitely would have been in contention, and it would have been in close.
Yeah, an interesting point earlier on the Nets. You talk about the Dogs. They were down 5 points earlier, and the live betting still had them as minus 8.5 point favorites. That's how little the sports books think of the Nets right now, or else how high they think of Toronto. But it goes to your point, Billy Godfather, about this is the way to bet the Dogs.
Yep. Dogs will be barking.
Well, there you have it, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. That is Follow the Action. You can also find us on all kinds of social media. Hopefully you found us. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. And hopefully you make quite a bit of money tonight. For the Philly Godfather, for Matt from the College Kids, fire like Wyatt Earp. We're having a lot of fun here. Hope you're enjoying it. We'll be back tomorrow with more, or the next day when we're on all over social media. Enjoy the games tonight, and good luck.
Good luck.